All right, so we got this video from Jubilee. Jubilee. This is liberal teens versus conservative parents, middle ground. We're just going to check this out for a different kind of content. All my content's been reacting to conservative stuff, so wanted to try something different. There just is not much liberal stuff unless I just go out and react to Vox. Oh man, that would be a nightmare. But let's get into this. Let's see what they agree and disagree on.
When you're young, you're not thinking, and everybody has made a bad choice. And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination.
Uh, I'm guessing that's a conservative. I don't really know, but funny thing you talk about indoctrination. What about forcing a child to go to church or something, or having religion in schools? That's also indoctrination.
When Jubilee created Middle Ground, the intention was to uncover humanity and empathy shared among strangers with opposing beliefs. Whether your political beliefs are on the left or the right, we all exist within our own echo chambers. So for this episode, we partnered with Ground News and created a test that can analyze your news sources and show you their biases. The participants of this episode agreed to take the quiz and share their results. We encourage you to do the same.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cancel culture is a good thing.
We have the freedom to say
This is why I don't like liberals. Cancel culture is not a good thing. That's one thing I agree with conservatives on.
what you want, but everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you.
Well, that's true. That's the point. But cancel culture is not a good thing, though.
If you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc., cancel culture is definitely good in the
There's such thing as jokes. Liberals tend to go overboard, and even when someone's just joking, they'll just, oh, you're canceled. You said this, you're canceled. You said that, you're canceled. You cancel everyone. We're all canceled.
means of deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages.
What is your opinion on Trump being cancelled on Twitter?
When you go onto Twitter, whatever, you check I accept the, guidelines, the community guidelines, I agree to follow them, and he didn't follow them, so Twitter has the right to.
The reason he got banned was for the Capitol riot, not for what he said on Twitter. He shouldn't have been banned.
You take him off the app.
And for people that might make the counter
This is the reason I don't like liberals.
argument that Twitter is biased and will only cancel right-wing politicians, that's not true.
They mostly cancel right-wing people. Mostly because they say some really messed up stuff. Trump didn't, though. The thing is, Trump didn't really say.
All Twitter and other forms of social media have canceled left-wing activists. There is an equal balance on both sides.
I disagree with that.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter. I'm sorry, I disagree. When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the
I need to turn up the desktop audio a bit.
Taliban violate community guidelines?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I think it matters.
Trump didn't violate the guidelines either.
Twitter, what their community guidelines are, that's why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines. That's what.
No, they didn't. Most platforms are not clear with their community guidelines and ban you when you didn't go outside their community guidelines. YouTube does this all the time.
Every platform has, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
The Taliban stones people because they're gay.
If they've done that and they've posted videos of stoning gay people, I agree, they should be removed, and that.
This guy, the old man, doesn't really have a good argument here. Trump wasn't banned for not following the guidelines. Trump was banned because they just didn't want him on the platform following January the 6th. So
That is fundamentally wrong. No,
Except
it's not.
the problem is they're smart enough to not do that.
Well,
Well, then
okay.
why wasn't Trump
Then
smart
the
enough to
president
not do
wasn't
that?
smart enough to not do that, I guess.
If I'm an American and I have to vote
Oh man, these liberals are kind of annoying.
between this person, I need equal access to both of them to decide what's right. Bro, you could be a Klansman, you could say you hate black people. That's not my job to police your language. I can't expect everybody to love me and think the way I think. All y'all think different of me, that's totally dope. But the fact that you want somebody removed because they think differently, that could be you one day.
Do you think freedom of speech is something that still exists in America?
We do have
I agree with the conservatives on this. The black guy and the younger white guy, they got a good stance on this. The older guy doesn't, most older people. Sorry, it may be me kind of biased towards old people, but
have aspects of freedom of speech. Like you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. So obviously there are limits of freedom of speech.
But they're picking and choosing who they're silencing and who they're letting talk.
If people react negatively to what you say, it goes both ways. You can't just say
Sure.
that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
America is becoming less and less safe.
I don't know where I would stand on this. Let's see where they stand. I disagree with that. Maybe in murder rates and things, but how is it becoming less and less safe? Why is conservatives saying this? I figured the liberals would be saying it in support of gun control.
I'll leave this to you guys.
So I have a lot of friends that have been in the military for the last 20 years because they refused to get vaccinated. They told me that they would be dishonorably discharged or kicked out of the military. I just believe we're losing a lot of good servicemen with the current situation that we're in right now.
Oh, so this is in regard to vaccination. Oh my God, YouTube, don't take me down. I'm not being anti-vax, okay? Don't take me down.
Yeah.
A lot of police officers are down. Crime is up all over. When police aren't there, we're murdering each other at a really high rate. Police
Murder rates have been up for a while anyway, sir.
are in those neighborhoods because the homicide rate is high. Y'all can run around talking about police all you want, but I challenge any of these liberal kids to spend 2 weeks in the environment I grew up in, and I promise your perspective will change.
The one advantage we have about being older,
I don't really have nothing against police. I think there's problems within police and there needs to be police reform, but actual police officers, no, I don't think all police are bad. So, shocker, the commie doesn't think all police are bad. It shocked you, didn't I?
we've been through a threat or two. And our enemies, you know, like China, the Communist Party in China,
I do not like this guy. This guy is a stereotype of conservative. I do not like him. The other two are decently reasonable.
they're laughing at us. You know, Russia's like, we don't need to do much. They're gonna screw it up on their own. We need to get the help of our younger people that haven't been through a threat before to realize a lot of what's going on is not good. My name is Mike, I'm 59 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. You know, growing up during the 1980s, you know, that was a huge influence on me, and it formed my view.
I mean, older people, yeah, they have different views, different generations. So that's a lot to do with this kind of stuff.
Views and the people that I was around is the reason why I'm a conservative parent. I think America should be more middle of the road.
He's lean right? This guy's lean right? I thought he was far right. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't.
And not be necessarily more liberal. And if anything, it should be a hint more on the conservative side. Because we're going to watch our freedoms get extinguished or encroached if we don't guard those freedoms.
I disagree. Conservatives and liberals are the problem with America right now.
And make sure that all of our children have a chance to succeed.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I actually wished I came up here for the agreeing section because I think I interpreted the definition of safety the same way that you guys did, but after hearing your guys' conversation, I started thinking about how our American people aren't safe in the face of like imminent like climate disasters that are coming our way, and how we don't have the infrastructure to deal with that.
I actually very much agree with that, because I think we need to define like kind of like what we mean by like we're less safe now. Do we mean like there's more homicides after COVID, or like what do we mean?
I would say before we got rid of half our military, half our police force, you know, slavery was legal, the Holocaust was legal. So we can look at all of these mass atrocities and say we're doing what's right. Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said. They were doing what was right. So everybody losing their job for not getting vaxxed, and all the vax people, you got who can we control? Everybody who get the shot, that's who's gonna do what we say. The enemies are coming, and we don't care about that because we wanna care about what color we should wear and pride and critical race theory. It's like no one else cares about that but us in America. That's our problem.
So you think that talking about sexual orientation and all that kind of stuff takes away from the safety of our country?
Who you sleep with has no merit in the real world. What does it matter?
Okay, let's just broaden the scope.
I agree with that guy. What does it matter? He's not saying ban gay marriage or go around telling everyone you gay or whatever. He's like, what does it matter?
With the coronavirus pandemic, why did it take weeks for us as a country to mobilize together to fight the public health crisis that was already affecting the nation?
It was a scam.
In Trump's defense, the coronavirus pandemic, I think he had a pretty decent reaction to it because he just didn't want people to panic, which is a good thing.
Damn to get Donald Trump out of office. It's all fake.
Okay, now that's a bunch of bull. The virus is real.
It's my opinion.
I agree
Well, your opinion. You can have your opinion.
with you.
I don't think that we could create, or the Democrats could create some international plan, getting all of these scientific communities outside of just the US and even international governments on their side for something that they're just trying to get Trump out of office. I feel like that's heavily ridiculous.
Trump was the thorn that nobody saw coming, and they had to find a way to get him out of there. If there's no mail-in voting, 100% Trump is the president.
I agree we weren't ready for mail-in voting, but mail-in voting does have its benefits.
President right now, 100%.
Yeah, because overwhelmingly mail-in ballots were to Biden. That's obvious. Like,
Exactly.
That's not because
It's not because Biden cheated, it's because the people that did mail-in votings were younger, and they chose Biden because they were liberals.
mail-in ballots are fraudulent, because mail-in ballots are actually not fraudulent at all. That this election was the safest election in recorded history.
There's a lot of videos, so you see people with fake ballots, so that's here and there. I'm not.
That's just hearsay from random people on TikTok. Are we really gonna like take that as like empirical evidence?
It's personal.
I agree with him, but
My name is Parker. I'm 19 and I'm a liberal. My sisters and I have become a lot more liberal, a lot more left-leaning over time, while my parents have stayed a bit conservative. Before, when I was a conservative, I kind of just went off a lot of the indoctrination and propaganda that was
lean left. That's his news bias.
spread to me when I was a kid. I grew up on the
My news bias is probably more center.
fact that, oh,
I really haven't ever. There was like 1 or 2 times I've ever read a left biased news source. Anything I've read or watched is mostly center or right wing.
we shouldn't have increased taxes because taxes are just negatively affecting us. Personal responsibility isn't what a lot of the decisions people make in society is based on. It's mainly based upon their environments, how they're socialized by their parents, people around them, things like that.
My news source is more reliable than the other side's.
News source.
When I look at conservative news, I see a lot of conspiracies that I don't necessarily agree with. And so if everything comes from opinion and just people developing their own ideas, it just doesn't.
Left-right news sources do heavy opinions just like right-wing news sources do.
Seem reliable to me.
I feel like the only way we can get unbiased news is in order for news media organizations to stop prioritizing having really vivid headlines that might not necessarily be 100% accurate.
I think that starts
In my opinion, these are most reliable news sources. Reuters, CNBC, The Hill, AP, BBC. There's more, but those are like most popular. PBS. A lot of conservatives watching us probably say, oh, they're all left news sources. Not based on all sides. So
with putting people over profit. They want the biggest story or whatever, and they don't want to actually give the news that would be beneficial to our everyday average Americans. And I think that if we put a lot
that's true, and I think a lot of conservatives would agree with that.
more focus on putting people first instead of the big news or the big story, we can change that aspect of society.
I agree with you 100%. Like I say the civil rights movement is the civil rights entertainment industry because it's so profitable. Put a police shooting on TV, it's breaking news. Every headline is on every social media. You're selling shirts, you're selling.
Well, yeah, I agree with that too. It doesn't mean there isn't police brutality, though.
Signs. That's so much more profitable than showing me and you shaking hands. The news media is literally capitalizing off the emotions of society. No matter how you feel about it, handle it in your privacy of your house. Why? Because if you can do it on camera, somebody's gonna make $1 off of it, and that's not fair to you.
Young people today are too sensitive.
I agree. I agree they are.
So I think it's a good thing that young people.
A bit too sensitive. Not as far as a conservative would say.
More sensitive. I think today they can be more sensitive than what they probably could have been 30 or 40 years ago. You know, the growing
Maybe.
up was the Berlin crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we had the threat of annihilation, you know, staring at us.
I don't know about any threat of annihilation. Is the U.S. doing stupider and stupider war things? I'm not talking about World War II. World War II is important, but a lot of the wars they do are really just stupid.
Several times. And a lot of times I go, you know, thank God John Kennedy handled it.
The country has been spoiled for so long. They're trying to make it so a man can't be a man. And
Okay, now that's a stupid take. Gender is a social construct. If you don't agree with that, that's just a scientific. That's just science. I'm not saying you can change your actual sex, but gender is a social construct. And if you disagree with that, you're disagreeing with science.
if you don't let men be men, then things start crumbling.
Let people be who they want to be. Mind your own frickin' business, you conservative. Okay, I'm getting a bit worked up there, but when they act like the government's trying to control everything they do, then they'll go right around and try to control how a person lives their life.
When society crumbles, families crumble, and broken homes start happening.
And kids need their fathers. So 36% of kids don't have a father. So every boy is, well, my mom is mad at me, my dad don't love me, my dad don't care about me. Maybe I should be gay, maybe I should be trans, I don't know who I am.
Okay, you really do not understand anything about this.
And your father puts confidence in you. No disrespect to anybody, but the younger generation of men are soft. And if we had to go to war, they're not protecting America. There's no better.
That's a bunch of bull. And if we had to go to war because the United States did something else to mess up our way of living, just so they could have their precious war that's very profitable.
Better place to be as a black individual or whatever you are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you.
Yeah, because the United States is a bit more developed than some countries.
Johnny, I'm 32 years old and I am a conservative parent. My grandfather was a no excuse individual. He grew up in the Jim Crow South, but he worked hard. The house that he bought is still in our family today. He had a garden in his backyard. If you step past a certain line, he got on you. So to watch the men before me who really...
Ooh, he is further right than the the older guy.
Really could have been lynched for stepping out of line, who really could have went through a hardship for not doing what society said. The worst thing that can happen to me is I get a mean tweet or a dislike. So I gotta fully embrace who I am, and I know I can create anything with my 2 hands and feet.
I'm Hannah, I'm 17, and I'm a liberal. I really want equality for all, and the liberal policies that have been passed side more with my values of equality for those who are on the LGBTQ.
What laws? What laws were you talking about, Missy? If you notice, I'm very biased towards both sides here.
Those who are on the gender spectrum. Something about conservative parents that I don't like is whenever I come across them, they seem to be very rooted in their ways and not willing to listen to someone who's a teenager like me. They think more.
I agree with that. Older people won't listen to you no matter what.
Like, oh, because I'm older, I have more knowledge, which is not necessary.
Yeah, that's bull. Older people know more about some things, but just look at the. I'm not going into that. I don't feel like it. Let's just.
Always the case.
Can we have the disagreeer step forward?
This idea that because men are being raised by women that they're weaker is, in my opinion, completely false. Our generation, it's not more sensitive, we're more aware of all these things. Being transgender and gay is not something that should be ashamed of or make you feel less. In today's society, that is why women are fighting for equality, because this idea that because they
A lot of feminists are against the transgender movement, so.
only have a mom, they're weaker, or because, you know, they're more sensitive. That's, in my opinion, completely false.
And I would say in the environment that I grew up in, the teen pregnancies come from girls without fathers. The homicides come from people without fathers. Every girl that I know, if they grow up with a daddy, they get married before they have a kid.
Why do they not have fathers?
If you want me to be real, because a lot of women make bad choices on the men they procreate with. If you make a bad choice, that's your responsibility. Every bad thing that I did in my life, it was when my daddy was in jail. When my dad was out and I had my dad's reassurance, I was a better person.
I had one daughter that had to move
I don't know about that, okay?
across the country to get rid of a toxic relationship with somebody that was harming them.
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic? Why can't the man be taught, don't be toxic?
Oh, I agree.
Women nowadays have to deal
He agreed.
with those kinds of relationships. The women, the mother knows better, I would say, than the father
I don't like her. I don't like her one bit.
about that.
We're not more sensitive, there's just more opportunities for us to be sensitive. You can say like 15, 20 years ago, there weren't videos of black men being shot by police all over the internet. Now that that's there, people are more inclined to feel a certain way or take a stance on that topic.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get killed than black guys by cops.
If you look at the amount of white people
I don't know about that. I think the incarceration rate's higher for black people. I don't really know. I don't really look at those kind of statistics. If you want me to look it up, comment it down below.
and the amount of black people, there are going to be more white people killed because there are more white people in America. The
That number is going down.
percentage of black people that are being killed is higher than the percentage of white people.
Well, just because you're pulled over doesn't mean you have to resist. I mean, they don't just kill you when they pull you over. It's all about based on how you perform as an individual. I've been pulled over.
There are cases of police brutality. There is no getting past that. I mean, like Michaela Brown or whoever it was, the one that chased the one girl with the knife, that was not a case of police brutality. The guy shot her trying to protect the other girl. That was not police brutality. It was nothing to do with racism. That was a cop actually doing their job right. But like Breonna Taylor, that was uncalled for. George Floyd, uncalled for. It was police brutality. Both of those cases were police brutality.
over and never had a bad interaction in my life. When I was rude, I got snatched out the car. Everything is a personal choice. If you can't take accountability for your life, then you will forever be a slave.
That's not true. There are definitely issues on the side of policing. Black communities, majority black communities, majority POC communities are over-policed. There's larger patrols in black communities. There are police work longer
Again, I don't know nothing about that.
hours in majority black communities. So there's an issue from the policing side as well.
Politics has damaged my relationship with a loved one.
I'm sure you could relate to this as well, but in the Asian community, there's a lot of anti-blackness. So with the advent of the Black Lives Matter movement this past year, having conversations with my parents was really difficult, especially around the nuances of racial justice and sort of like what the movement was fighting for and how to articulate that in like the very closed mindset that my parents had.
A lot of my family voted for Trump in the past election, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like to say this, but it made me view their morals a little bit differently, and they're willing to adapt and change was so different, and I was just like shocked because I wanted to understand their side and really talk about it, and I was met with, "You're wrong, and we don't want to talk about it," and that kind of.
Yeah, I understand that. Adults are like that. Older people are like that. I accidentally went the full screen. I think it's a glitch with YouTube. YouTube's so annoying. There's so many glitches. Fix your website. You're a multi-million-dollar company. You can't even fix your website.
It really damaged just kind of the way I looked at them.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I also think that it just made me less.
I do think conservatives are closed-minded, but at the same time, I also think liberals are closed-minded. That's the problem with conservative and liberal. They're all closed-minded. Well, a lot of them are closed-minded.
Willing to expend the energy to have political or like just like any like hard conversations with my parents or anyone else in my family. My name is Rithwick, I'm 18 years old, and I'm a liberal. I grew up in a low-income immigrant household, and I think the systems that are in place right now aren't sufficient enough to support people, Americans like myself or my family. Because my parents were immigrants, I think they were liberal on issues like immigration and things that directly affected them. I'd like to ask to the conservative parents why they don't necessarily listen or adopt their own beliefs, whether political or social, based on the conversations they have with their children and why they're so set in their ways.
You know, I read a lot of the tragic stories where family members don't talk to each other anymore. Personally, I think that's sad. Do all my family members vote the same? No. Do we have a pretty good idea of how family members may have voted? Yeah. But we went more of agree to disagree. I'm not gonna not buy you a present for Christmas because, you know, you decided to vote for somebody that I don't like. Give me a break. Families are special. And we've got too many
That's touching. I'll admit that's touching.
people, as you've talked
This guy's starting to grow on me.
about, that don't have them.
When I took this prompt, I kind of took it more of like my view of the person changed differently because, not because of the way they voted, but because some of their values to me were, like he said, moral values, and that.
I think a lot of it just has to do with people that are afraid of the Democrats, why they vote Republican. I don't think they really understand what they're voting for. I mean, some of the people watching me clearly know what they're voting for because they go on about it in the comments all the time. But some do not. They don't really know. They just, like my grandparents, they hear everything from Fox News, and if anybody else said it besides Fox News, it's wrong. So
That shows kind of part of their characters.
Would you say that morality is subjective to each individual person, though? Or would you say morals are the same across the board?
The basic is human equality for all. And so if you don't believe that somebody should have an equality based on their gender, their sexual orientation, or their race, or anything like that, that's a moral problem in my eyes.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS. Being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon. At 8 years old is when you get baptized. And so if you're raised around where 95% of
That's indoctrination.
people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. And so where I have a problem with the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10,
I think that's the point he was making, that he was indoctrinated. I think that's what he was saying.
12 years old, and they're pushing them down that path.
Who's they?
Who's they?
Who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBTQ and etc.?
There's a lot of groups out there.
Like?
I've just heard.
It's not really true. You can't really make that argument. There ain't even many LGBTQ whatever in the mainstream. It's mostly just straight people. So
That there's groups out there. I don't know. You don't think there's groups out there that do that?
No.
I'm assuming you're a straight man, so I think it's weird for you to comment on the queer
plot twist, he's gay.
experience and what that's like for someone growing up who's struggling with those experiences. The way you're describing it as indoctrination, people who are figuring out their sexualities and their queer identities aren't necessarily going to ascribe to the first labels that are put before them.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So I know how I used to think at 16, man. I know how I used to think at 21, man. I'm not against kids doing whatever they want. It's just the older you get, you change. I got my first tattoo at 15. I'm covered now. If I was a little older, I probably would have waited. When you're young, you're not thinking. And everybody has made a bad choice.
I hate that argument. So annoying.
And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back.
Most conservatives don't even believe in mental issues. They just think someone needs to work more.
The more you throw stuff at kids before they developed, that's indoctrination because you're trying to get them while they're not.
Christianity, yeah. Religion, also like that. Indoctrination. And most people do not throw it at children, the LGBT. They're not indoctrinating them.
Fully cognitive to know what's going on.
The older
Oh,
you get,
man.
the more conservative you become.
It happened again. My computer glitched out because apparently it won't take it in 1080 quality. Or it ain't even in 1080 quality, it's in 480 quality.
When I got older and I had kids and I had a family, I actually started reading policies. Everything about me changed when I became a father because I had a reason to. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah. As I've gotten older and the environment we're in right now, I feel like they're trying to cancel the Constitution. They're trying to cancel Christianity.
I mean, most teenagers are liberal.
That is a bunch of bull. Now that is just something, that is just what they programmed you to believe through Fox News. Ain't nobody trying to throw out the Constitution. Ain't nobody trying to ban Christianity. I don't even know in what way is Christianity under attack even.
I was liberal when I was teen. It's fun. Culture is liberal. So when you're younger, you're going to be a part of culture.
Right.
When you're older, you're trying to raise your family. You don't have a time.
I most certainly ain't a part of culture. I don't even listen to 3/4 of the mainstream artists. A lot of the stuff you see me react to on YouTube is one of a lot that I listen to. I listen to a lot of that and other independent music. I don't really listen to anything mainstream.
I don't care about what LeBron James said or who did that. Just when you mature.
I don't like sports. I don't watch LeBron James. I think LeBron James is a bit of a kook.
You value what's around you.
My name's Sean. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. My dad's kind of my idol. I've seen him basically build a very successful life and seen how simple he's lived his life through prayer and through just basic conservative principles. Being raised up LDS or Mormon, I saw a lot of just judgment, and so I don't necessarily believe that you have to be in a religion.
News is 100% right wing. Okay.
But I do believe in prayer. I've been all across the board as far as the way my life has gone, And at my happiest times, I've lived by conservative values.
Building off of what you're saying about like teenagers, we're a different generation, and so we view the world differently, and I think that's probably why you've seen more teenagers be liberal, because we just view the world that way, but I don't think it has anything to do with
No, my generation, I was liberal too when I was a teenager, and all my friends were too. And when you're a teenager, life is fun. It's just totally, you kick it, you party. So that's what I'm saying. I get the teenage. As you grow, you either can run away
Yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna say nothing.
from responsibility or embrace responsibility. When there's real things going on, you start looking at life a little different versus when I was.
I look at the things going on. I'm not Democratic Socialist because I don't look. I'm Democratic Socialist because capitalism has just led to people, the rich, becoming all powerful and having, like Bernie. I saw Bernie on there today. 350% times the, I think, around that number, over 300%, not percent or times, percent or, I'm not sure, one or the other, more than a middle class worker. So that's why I'm Democratic Socialist. There needs to, the middle class and the poor people need to be looked after better. And I do believe in equality. Equality is important. Conservatism doesn't really fool with equality. They don't really care about equality. So yeah, but I think liberals are dumb too, though.
I was young, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about corporate gains tax, and I didn't know about my stock account, and I didn't know that I can, all these things that I didn't know when I was a kid.
So when people are generally talking about taxing the rich more, they're talking about the top 400 billionaires that are literally paying a lower effective tax rate in taxes than the middle class.
I hear liberals make this argument all the time. They also get tax cuts. They also don't get through tax loopholes, and they put their money in offshore banks and things like that.
The top 400 billionaires paying an effective tax rate of 8%, that's obviously not a fair share. And I think obviously everyone can agree here that they should be paying at least a fair share, right?
How do you increase taxes on someone's assets, though? Most of those billionaires aren't.
Unrealized capital gains is how they're specifically trying to do it now, but it would be through long-term capital gains, because a lot of the people who are paying those taxes, they're paying capital gains tax rate. There's also tax loopholes that have been lobbied into Congress by big corporations.
Well, yeah, they're exactly what I was saying.
And big businesses lobbying politicians to get whatever they want.
So if you get older and you work yourself off and you become a multimillionaire, you deserve to pay more because other people didn't work as hard as you?
But it's not because other people didn't work as hard as me. It's because we, as a society, want to give everyone access to things like basic necessities like healthcare, education, have everyone have an equal opportunity. We don't have that right now.
You can have equal opportunity of a baseline, but the outcome would still be different because every individual is going to work different levels,
well,
correct?
Obviously, yeah.
Right, so I think that's where we are as a society. I was able to pull it off. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. I don't have a college degree. So the only limits are the limits you place on yourself. That's just my perspective.
America is the best country in the world.
Oh my, the nationalist stuff. Oh my, I do not like to see that. America's not the best country in the world. You can say one of the best, but getting in your mind that America is the best in the world, you think you're the center of the world.
I think despite all of our challenges and problems, when you look at all the other countries of the world, everybody is still trying to come here.
The way I can talk out loud, the way I can feel myself, the way I can express myself fully as an individual, it ain't.
Costa Rica has better freedom than the United States does. Hate to break it to you.
Many places black men can go do that outside of America.
3 years ago, when I got into the court systems and the different rights taken away from me and government control and government power, and so when you have that stuff stripped away from you and you realize most other countries don't have the freedom that America has. America has been the greatest country ever, and I think it will continue because of a lot of good people that stand up for.
I'm just going to say it here, America was never free. Never truly free. The time when the actual white people were free during the time of slavery, but since the government, they had to crack down on slavery, the white people ain't even been free since then. America's not truly free. That is just a bunch of wool they pull over your eyes. I mean, we could make it free, but the politicians we're electing right now, these liberals and conservatives and Trump, are not working. They're not the ones that are going to make this country free.
For the right things.
I'm not saying vote Democratic Socialist. What I'm saying is vote third party. Someone that their views align with yours. Break the system of the most, like these, like Trump and Biden. Break that system. Go outside of norm. Vote for someone that that's not popular. That's what people need to do to turn the system around.
I think I would like to ask the question, what is America the best at?
I think we just was talking about the freedoms that we have here versus what they don't have.
Costa Rica's got more freedom than we do, buddy. There's lots of countries that are more free than the United States is.
Other countries.
So what about places in Scandinavia that actually have higher amounts of freedom? They have better democracies than we do here, higher quality of life, higher median income. They have healthcare systems that are more efficient, that take care of everyone in their population.
Yeah, that's kind of, Costa Rica has a lot of that, too. They are a social democracy, though.
More access to education.
But when you look at the big picture, everybody wants to come here. Millions of people are not trying to get into Scandinavia
Why?
because we have more opportunity than any other place in the world.
We don't even make the top 25 in women equality.
But we have a better opportunity to do something about it compared to other countries. And I would love it for Europe to open their borders the way we have and see if you can get people from other parts of the world to do mass migration to Europe.
We don't have open borders. What do you mean? Open borders is the goal. We need to open our borders. We don't need to build some stupid wall that ain't going to do nothing but waste more money.
I was going to mention Scandinavian countries as well, but I think it's also important to address that Scandinavian countries are very homogenous, racially, socioeconomically. They don't face the same geographic diversity that we have. What you were mentioning.
Oh, also, if you want to talk about freedom in America, what about systematic racism? It's a thing. It ripple effects from slavery and the Jim Crow laws, the redlining that's still in place to this very day. You can't refute that. I mean, you can. You probably will. People in comments will probably be attacking me about that.
With the fact that we have the opportunity to write women inequality, why is that not happening? It's because the way our democracy is set up, our Congress is literally in a gridlock right now, as it has been for so many past sessions of Congress. We aren't getting anything productive done.
The opportunity.
Yeah, because we're only voting Republican and Democrat. Because the system has it that way. And that's the way the system wants it that way. By the way, you may have saw my other videos where I wouldn't vote liberal. In the actual presidential election and the primaries, I do plan to vote third party. The thing is, I'm not voting third party for the Kentucky Senate and things because Kentucky really doesn't have third party candidates.
We have here is incredible, and I'm very happy that I live here and not somewhere else, but we are so focused on, oh, America is the best, that we don't look at these other countries and say, why are all those people so happy, and what is that, and how can we incorporate that into our society?
I mean, I would say, I think diversity is good. I think diversity of thought and diversity of opinion, it's super helpful. It's really easy to get clogged up into this groupthink. So I don't expect anyone else to agree with me or feel the way I feel. I just expect you to respect my right to feel this way. I respect your right to feel this way. And we keep.
By the way, I respect everyone's right to feel the way they do, okay?
Been moving.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more, actually.
Awesome. That's a wrap. Thank you so much.
Had that a little loud. But, yeah, I guess that will conclude this video unless I can find that. Oh, here's the quiz. I want to take this quiz. Real quick, I will pause it until it actually is loaded. Alright, let's go. Which news sources are you most likely to read or watch? NPR. I do actually watch the Daily Wire. Reuters, AP, The Hill. And yeah, that's all I watch. Which of these U.S. and international news sources you most likely to read or watch? AP. Where's BBC? Isn't BBC on here? Reuters. Oh, there's BBC. Which headline best captures the story? Twitter announced a policy suspension of removing private media posted on platform. Announcement stated, when we are notified by individuals depicted that did not consent to having their private image or video shared, we will remove it. Twitter bans posting pictures of private individuals against their wishes, in addition to earlier anti-harassment policies. I guess the top one. Twitter tightens rules, bans sharing people's photos. Twitter bans post images people out there at events, protests, and sporting events. Twitter effectively bans all citizen journalism on that one. Which headline best... I don't really want to do this. I don't want to read all this. This video is long enough. Y'all probably won't be watching all this. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said that he has plans to sign legislation that would give unvaccinated police officers $5,000 bonus to relocate to his state. Governor DeSantis announced $5,000 proposal bonus to abused police officers from liberal cities to move to Florida. GOP Governor Ron DeSantis offers unvaccinated cops $5,000 to come infect and serve Floridians. Governor Ron DeSantis offers bonuses to anti-vax cops to come work in Florida. DeSantis woos police who lose jobs over vaccine mandates, dangles $5,000 bonuses to move to Florida. That one, I guess. It sounds weird, but better than the other ones. Which headline best captures a story? Darren A.G. Marager, 52, is facing 5 felony counts of indecent exposure in connection with the Y Spa incident in June. Marager is a Tier 1 registered sex offender. She denies the allegations and says that she is actually the victim of transphobic harassment. Trans woman charged with indecent exposure in LA spa incident. Charges filed against sex offender in the Y Spa case. Person charged with indecent exposure at LA spa after viral Instagram video. Charges filed against trans sex offender for exposing himself in spa. Charges filed against sex offender in Y Spa case. Which by a headline that best captures the story? President Biden's sprawling $6 trillion budget unveiled Friday does not include the controversial Hyde Amendment, delivering on a campaign promise to try to scrap the ban on federal funding for abortions. Biden admits Hyde Amendment from budget, keeping promise to defend abortion rights. Joe Biden stakes out position against discriminatory abortion rule. Biden's attempt to kill Biden budget excludes decades-old provision barring taxpayer funding of abortion. I'd say the last one, probably. Donald Trump says he would not have survived the James Comey kept FBI job. Trump fired Comey as FBI director in 2017 during an investigation into accusations of Russian collusion in 2016 election. Trump admits to obstruction of justice in Fox News interview. Trump, had I not fired Comey, you may not be talking to me right now. Trump draws attention with admission he fired Comey. Trump just wanted to remind everyone that he committed obstruction of justice. I chose the third one, by the way. Have you seen these stories about COVID? Nope. Mom said, Tucker Carlson claims that COVID-19 does feminize people during an interview with Brexit politician Nigel Farage. I think I may have actually seen that. Mom says her son got vaccinated for pizza without her consent. No. Ron Johnson recommends mouthwash to treat COVID. No. Maine governor activates National Guard amidst shortage of hospital beds. No. Thousands of people protest in Brussels against new coronavirus restrictions. FDA says it needs 75 years to release Pfizer COVID vaccine data to the public. Have you seen these stories about the Black Lives Matter movement? Black Lives Matter stands in solidarity with Jussie Smollett. We can never believe police. No. NYC, Black Lives Matter threatens bloodshed, rights in city of anti-crime units reinstated. Police teens driven by racial hatred targeted Black Lives Matter leader. Wrongfully convicted Massachusetts man freed after 27 years. 10 Antifa members charged for alleged attacks on California pro-Trump protectors, criminal acts. I don't know. I may have saw that story. Colorado officials agreed to $15 million settlement with Elijah McClain's family over his death. Haven't seen that one. And the last one, NYC set to give legal non-citizens right to vote in the local elections. Biden advisor admits immigration policy may have driven migrant surge and encouraged smugglers. Pope decries Stonehearts of indifference to migrants' pain. UNICEF warns of malnutrition and disease risk for migrant children Mexican camp. Rabanaya refugees sued Facebook for $150 billion whatever over Myanmar genocide. At least 650 migrants died across the U.S.-Mexico border, most since 2014, the international agency says. And let's see. My bias source score is 60% center. Factuality score, high. Mostly high and mixed. Topic bias results, censorship, I'm liberal. Vaccine mandates, conservative. LGBTQ, conservative. Abortion, conservative. No. Trump, center. COVID, liberal. Black Lives Matter, center. Immigration, center. Alright, so that concludes this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button, all that jazz. See you in the next one. Try not to kill each other, and peace.